Podcast. I am your host, Chris Patrick, joined today, as always, by Michael Benjamin and Cody Tallman. How you doing, fellas?
Dude, I'm feeling good, man. It's good to be back out here in Queen Creek with the fellas.
Yes, sir.
I'm excited to just talk Valley sports and figure out what new nonsense is going on today, I guess.
Yep.
That's what's up. Yeah, happy to be here too. It's too damn hot outside, but we're living.
It is hot. It's supposed to be June and July are like always the hottest. I feel like August gets really fucking hot too, but
Yeah, what? It was like 112, 113 today.
yeah.
Oh, it's brutal. It says it's 108 right now.
Not for it, but we've been here long enough we can survive it, I guess.
True. We need to check that heat.
Yes, sir. God damn it. He made the joke. All right, and I'm swearing too much. We're not even a minute in.
Oh, Lord.
But yeah, last time we did this, sat down, it was the end of May, actually, but that was technically our June episode because it got released in. It's not important. This is our monthly recording. You can fight me in the comments if you disagree, but we're back, and so you should be happy because there's more content, and we're going to try and get you more content, like the live streams we're doing. We try and get at least one of those out a week. Over the 4th of July weekend, we kind of took a bit of a break, but I think we'll be back at it this week. We'll drag Cody onto his laptop and make him live stream it with us.
Yeah, maybe Thursday I can do it.
Maybe Thursday?
Yeah.
Michael Benjamin, maybe Thursday?
Dude, the live streams are awesome, man. I'm always down to do it whenever. Well, as long as I don't have work or any shit like that, so.
Yeah, I mean, you know, life happens. So we always record these at we usually record the live streams a little later in the evenings when we do them spontaneously. I think those live streams, they're not going to have much of a schedule or rhythm to them for a while, but you can count on this Heat Check podcast once a month. Me and Mike are working on brewing up a podcast. Cody's writing a book. It should be out in the next couple of years. So look for it. We might have a merchandise shop by then. You never know. But let's not waste this time with the intro. Let's get down to business. A lot, like I was trying to set up there. A lot's happened in the last month. We got the Cardinals off season cranking up. We got the Suns off season cranking up. Just the Diamondbacks sinking back into mediocrity and obscurity.
Absolutely.
Not really much going on the Coyotes front unless you want to talk about the arena deal, which I'm not. I like hockey, don't get me wrong, but that's besides the fact. Anyway, what I want to start out talking about today is one Kevin Durant. Is he coming to the Valley, Cody? You seemed skeptical when we were talking earlier.
Oh, I don't know, man. There was so much steam and the hype that we had when it was like, no way, the Suns are on the top of his list. This is going to happen. This is going to go down. And then it just kind of just died off. And then you hear, oh, Kyrie's going to get traded. Oh, nope, Kyrie's going to stay. So it's like, I don't know. So when it first came out, I was like, probably like, well, maybe just because I'm a fan, I was probably like 90% into it. Like, this is going to happen. But now I might be 50-50 that he might just stay in Brooklyn. So I don't know. How do you guys feel about it?
I mean, I could dive into this one, Chris.
Yeah, take it. I feel a lot of types of ways about it. So
I still think that the odds are still in the favor for the Suns, at least because of, you know, Kevin Durant's statements and basically him coming out and saying that he wants to play here. And a lot of teams at this point, yeah, they're putting packages together to try and see if they can make a play for him. But I don't know if they're really, you know, that attracted anymore. People are saying that he's went dark. He's not responding to any players or
Radio
other
silence.
people, you know, asking questions just kind of about his headspace and whatnot. And, you know, say you're the Toronto Raptors and you package a huge deal with some of your key young component guys, and Kevin Durant gets there and he's like, I don't want to play in Canada. I don't want to be here. And he just sits the same way that Ben Simmons did. You're wasting all of your assets.
right.
So I still think it gets done. It's at this point, it's Brooklyn doesn't have to rush, basically, right? All the cards are on their table.
He's under contract.
They're the ones that basically get to give the final go-ahead. And I'm sure the Suns have already made plenty of offers, tweaked things and whatnot, but
They're probably communicating pretty frequently.
but now they're just holding steadfast. But, I mean, as time goes on, that value for Kevin Durant depreciates too. So
Yeah.
they probably want to get something done as soon as possible as well. The other thing too is we're getting close to the time period of DeAndre Ayton getting an offer sheet from somebody. They've been talking about the Indiana Pacers with the Malcolm Brogdon trade finally going through, and I think they have to do some other kind of like cuts with some of the players that they're getting back in order to free up enough cap space to offer Ayton a max. But that could come down, pretty soon. And then that can throw a wrench into things as well, because I felt like it would, to get the deal done for Kevin Durant, there was some way that you were going to have to involve DeAndre Ayton, and especially within a 3-team trade, getting him to maybe Utah and getting some of their assets over to Brooklyn, and maybe the Suns even taking on like a Jordan Clarkson. We've seen a whole bunch of things now, especially within the past week and a half. Once the news comes down, everybody starts doing their trade machine crap.
Oh yeah.
But I still feel good about it. I definitely just want it to be done now, because now you have to start figuring out what other pieces have to go around him.
Yeah, but didn't the Nets come out and say they don't want DeAndre Ayton?
Yeah, and
so they're waiting to see what the Suns get from him, or if they trade him with somebody. But then it has to be a 3-team, obviously. But they don't even want him. But then if you create that package, do the Suns even have the pieces to even get Durant? Because the Nets have stand by and said, we want a superstar in return.
Yeah.
Or you're an all-star type player. And can you say that Bridges is that player they're looking for? Cam Johnson definitely isn't.
And that's the thing.
Like Durant or DeAndre was the one who was like, hey, here's a good player. Here's our number 1 overall pick. Mm-hmm. But they don't want him.
Yeah. Well, that's where I think you still, just real quick on that, you'll still need a 3rd team to pull off anything with Brooklyn. I think that was pretty much always the case from the jump. Not that it's impossible, but like Mike was kind of saying, Brooklyn wants a lot in return for Kevin Durant, and rightfully so. But what I wanted to say, and then kick it back to you, Mike, I'm glad you said that, Cody, because there is a lot of stuff we're hearing, right? Every single day. It's Kevin Durant has the Suns and the Heat on the top of his list. It's Kevin Durant now only doesn't want to go to anywhere but Phoenix. It's Brooklyn's turning down trade offers left and right. It's this and that. So there's a lot of fog of war. There's a lot of how much is the Nets putting out there that's actually how they're feeling, what's just people making shit up. You got on the Suns side this guy Flex from Jersey.
Flex, man.
Have you been? Is Flex a credible guy? Because
he calls in the 987 all the time.
After every game he calls in.
He's
and
always on there.
Gives like a little report, and now he's been going on to like Fox 10 and doing reports and stuff like that. So
has he really?
Yeah, he has in his.
Seen that. Wow. He
has in his Twitter bio. I don't want to get off track with Flex, but it seems like he's had a lot of insight, and he's saying like stay the course. He said that DeAndre Ayton isn't part of a potential deal for Durant. Like he's assuring everyone, quote unquote, that it's not. Don't worry if Ayton goes and signs somewhere else, because it won't impact our ability to get Durant. If it's been such a sure thing now for like 2 weeks, I don't know why a trigger hasn't been pulled. But yeah, real quick before I pass over to you, Mike, I was looking at his Twitter here, and I don't know if these are just his appearances or if he's actually employed or whatever by these people. But he has Fox Sports, Suns Insider, PHNX Network, KSRN Arizona, I don't know what that is, Suns News and Insider, that doesn't mean anything, 98.7 Suns postgame, like you guys were saying. But Mike, how much can you trust like this fog of war and like all these people that claim to have insight knowledge? Do you just take it all with a grain of salt, or how do you filter through it? Yeah,
I mean, obviously you have your, I guess, quote unquote credible sources like Brian Windhorst and Shams Charania, sure, those guys who are really tapped in with the league and that kind of stuff. But I take everything else that everybody says with a grain of salt. You just have to. I mean, but with Flex though, like after Kyrie re-signed, he basically came out the next day or that same day and was like, hold the line. Something's still happening here. And then I'm pretty sure the next day was when KD requested the trade and put the Suns at the top of his list. Yeah. So, I mean, you get credibility when things kind of come down and come to fruition, that kind of stuff. I'm just really surprised that the Nets wouldn't want to take back a DeAndre Ayton as, potential trade value for themselves. I mean, when you start shipping away your high profile guys like Kevin Durant or probably a Kyrie Irving when things are all said and done, and you find yourself as maybe a team that can contend for the playoffs, but definitely not a championship level team. I mean, why not take back Ayton, give him floor, probably become an all-star because he's going to be one of your focal points, and then in a year or two you can trade him off and get some pieces back that you wanted. But
they'd have to sign him though.
Exactly, but that doesn't mean that other teams aren't going to be interested in a DeAndre Ayton, especially if he exactly, and especially if he transforms into an all-star, a perennial all-star, which I still think he can be because of his of how young he is, the progressions he's already made, and hopefully, really kind of fine-tuning his mind to the game. I think that's the next step for DeAndre Ayton. So, but then again, I say that, and what happened with Jared Allen? They let him walk, and then he becomes an all-star. So maybe Brooklyn just doesn't like bigs, which I get to an extent. Yeah. The big man game, the center position is so different. There's only, really two guys that you can look in the NBA who are absolute bona fide superstars who can control the pace for a team and be the number one focal point, which is Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. Yeah. I mean, maybe you can put Giannis in there, but I still look at Giannis as a power
forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, he is a guy you can put 1 through 5, and that's where, in the future, I think it'll be just a big, everyone's over 6'4", very likely everyone on your team is 6'8", and that's just how all the teams are set up but the game's ever changing. That's another good point. I mean, just look at even in the last 20 years, it went from a much different game to now extending 3-point and kind of shying away. Teams, like you said, maybe the Nets just don't like bigs. I think there's a lot of teams that just don't really value bigs, and clearly, I would say whether it's Monty Williams or whatever, the Suns aren't exactly valuing bigs right now. I mean, we can keep talking about Kevin Durant. I'm sure it'll loop back around, but it does tie into something else I was kind of looking at talking about. JaVale McGee jumped ship real quick and signed with Dallas, and we did touch on that a little bit in our last live stream. But is Mike, or maybe both you and Cody, you could even maybe touch on this.
We'll bounce it.
The value of the center position, it seems like the Suns don't value it, and now letting JaVale go without much of a fight or an offer, and now looks like we're letting Ayton go or getting rid of him, even if we get something back. Are you concerned about the lack of value in centers, or do you think trusting the process to steal the Sixers term?
I don't know. I mean, JaVale going away was pretty tough. I mean, to think about losing Ayton, but then because they brought back Biyombo, which it's not a home run at all, but
he had splashes where he showed that he could be
most definitely,
and he's surprisingly young. He looks a lot older than he is, but he's I think
like 29, 30. I think we talked a little about that. That guy does some crazy stuff off the court.
29.
29. There you go.
So he's about to be 30.
So. Yeah. So it sounded a lot better losing Ayton, but then also having McGee and Biyombo to kind of do that center by committee. But that if they lost JaVale, they get rid of Ayton. We all know they're going to bring in some veteran big man, and they're just going to have a rotating door at that position if they get rid of Ayton. But they obviously don't value the position, or they would have already signed DeAndre Ayton, because I think he's worth it. But they're trying to build their team in a different way. They need scores. They don't want, but you can argue that Ayton is a scorer, but he needs somebody to pass him the ball to be able to score. So he can't facilitate it on his own. He's got to have someone else do it for him. So I don't know. So going back to the question, it was, do you think they're not valuing that position enough?
I guess my question is, are you concerned about them not valuing the center position, or do you trust that Monty Williams has a game plan that doesn't need a center,
I
a
trust
star
it.
center player?
Well, say they get Kevin Durant. I'm not worried about it.
Well, and I think that's it, right? You wouldn't sign Durant.
I could play center and they'll still win. Probably, that's obviously not accurate whatsoever.
Cody can go out there and get 4 rebounds.
I appreciate the hyperbole.
Rather get elbowed in the face 14 times. But you get what I'm saying. Obviously, that wasn't literal. But no, so if Ayton goes away, they're going to get another piece. They better. So something's going to come in. They're going to get another score. Then you're going to have Booker. You're going to have Paul. Then you're going to have whoever that next name is. Whether, obviously, we want it to be Durant, but there's going to be another new face on that team that's going to be a scorer. That's going to help them get to what they're trying to do. So I'm not too worried about it personally.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, Cody, you do bring up a good thing. I'm not too worried, but I am a little bit worried about if their plan for their two center positions are Bismack Biyombo and Jock Landale, who they traded for from the Hawks. I mean,
For cash.
but I think that goes into exactly what we've been talking about, which is he's gone. He just
signed with the Hawks.
He just signed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike.
So we literally swapped Frank Kaminsky for Jock Landale.
Nice.
But I think the
Terrible trade.
I think the big thing though is it's all a part of the plan, right?
Right.
The part of the plan is you bring in Kevin Durant, so you're not going to be having to go to your center position for a lot of scoring. You're going to be really relying on them to do the dirty work. And what true big men do now in this league, who aren't your superstars, which are rebound the basketball, play aggressive defense, shut down the paint, and just do all that kind of little dirty work. Because, I mean, if you think about it, between CP3, Booker, and Kevin Durant, you should probably be getting 80 points a game from them themselves.
Easily. Yeah.
So that's your majority of all your scoring is going through them. But that was one of the other reasons why I was hoping that this was going to get done earlier, because if you don't bring back DeAndre Ayton, there was already a limit with the amount of big men that were available this year. One of the guys that I really, really was interested in bringing in was Thomas Bryant. And a couple of days after the news broke, he signed with the Lakers. So there's just nobody really left anymore. And I am sad to see JaVale leave. I mean, I think he was good for what we had in a system in regards to the regular season, right? You got to give minutes to many guys because it's a long season. 82 games is a grind. You know, sometimes they're playing 4 games a week. So guys got to be ready to go if they're on the bench. But what we saw from JaVale in the second round, specifically with the Mavericks, was he struggled to step out onto shooters, and that became a liability. That's why you saw a little bit more minutes from Bismack Biyombo. Mm-hmm. And they trust him to be able to do that because that is the new NBA, right? Teams are shooting 53 pointers a game now.
Yeah.
So as much as I do love the intensity that McGee brought, he was limited for kind of the next step and the next level. And I know that we brought him in for Giannis, pretty much specifically for him because of what he did to us in the finals.
Right.
Yeah.
But now, you know, I wish him all the best. It was great. You know, he was another foundational piece, even though he was here for only 1 year. Right. But that kind of keeps the continued growth from the team from. He brought the dogs mentality when they would do all the craziness before the games
in
and
the
that
tunnel,
kind of stuff.
Like the dog pound or something like that. I don't even know.
But, you know, he's 34 years old. He saw his last chance to kind of get a little bit bigger of a contract. I think he got 3 years, $21 million.
Yeah.
So that was his kind of final last
payday.
Big payday, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. And he went after it and took it. So I don't feel any type of way about him leaving. It does suck, but you just have to adjust from there.
Yeah. No, and I think no. I mean, I was just waiting to give you the floor because I know I've been doing a lot of talking.
No, he touched on it great.
Yeah. No, I think we all touched on it a little bit. You know, you're touching on it, Mike's touching on it. And that's just how it goes sometimes. But I was thinking of this question while you guys were talking. If we don't get KD, right? If we can't make that happen, would you, and you're the Suns, if you're James Jones, do you match any offer and keep Ayton and try and repair that relationship in the locker room?
You have to.
Because I think on paper, I want to lean towards agreeing, but Cody, like, a locker room is a locker room, whatever sport it is. How do you repair that relationship when it's been made clear by the Suns that they don't want Ayton, and Ayton has made it clear that he feels he isn't being utilized properly? How do you sit down, sing Kumbaya, go on a retreat, or? Because I'm on the fence right now between it. I think it could be a bad situation and irreparable, or maybe they could repair it. But having Monty be like, because I think Mike, didn't Monty say he doesn't, or did it leak out, or did he say he doesn't really value the center position?
Oh, I'm not sure about that.
I'll have to look into that. But Cody, what do you think? I'm going to toss it to you.
Yeah, so I think they can repair it. I mean, you guys have all heard DeAndre in an interview, and he's a nice guy. He's, whatever. And then look at the attitude that he brought into last season, where he wanted that deal last season, but they said, we want to wait and see. And you know what? And he played decent ball until the playoffs. But he didn't pout that he didn't get his extension last year. He showed up and he played, unlike Kyler Murray. Just kidding. That's a whole nother. But I think
we'll get into that.
Yeah. I think with his character, he's got a good head on his shoulders. I think they could repair it, but I don't think they want to repair it. So if he gets an offer, they're gonna match it. You have to match it. You can't let him walk. So if you don't get Durant, and then you let your first overall pick walk without getting anything in return, like, you have to match it. So they're gonna match it, and then if they do match it, they can't trade him for a year, right?
At least I think until January.
Yeah.
Right before the
so he's
trade
gonna
deadline.
he's gonna play next season, and then you don't trade somebody in January, So he's gonna play with them. So then there's gonna be
if
that
it's before
awkwardness.
the deadline, but but you have to try and figure it out for that
Yeah.
long. So I get what you're saying. That is
So-
that's like 3 months to have to figure it out before you can trade him.
Exactly.
And
but
what do you do?
can't-
Just tell him to
you
not
can't-
come to work? Like,
Yeah, but you can't let him go away. You
No.
have to get something in return. And if you don't get Durant and we don't have Ayton, and then we struggle next season, the fans are going to be pissed.
Well-
They're going to say, we went to we had a finals 2 years ago. Last year we had the best record in the NBA. What are you guys doing? Just run it back. Pay the kid. Why do we need to go chase all these superstars? So
Yeah.
if we don't get Durant and we soured that relationship and we don't get something, we don't turn him into something, and we struggle in the regular season, and Chris Paul's hurt, has broken hands, and Booker's carrying the entire team on his back. I mean, he can't do it on his own. So it's going to piss a lot of people off if they don't figure this out. So
Yeah, that's fair. Mike, do you think Suns should keep Ayton if they can't get KD?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah?
They'd have to. I'd match whatever kind of offer that he gets. It's probably going to be a max deal, which is fine. It's the money that he wanted.
Uh-huh.
But you're doing it on promise and what you think that he can be in the future. And he's already shown, I mean, he's a key component to why this team was so good.
Yeah.
And why they made a finals run. But it's also crazy. I just, we always think back to, how can Arizona sports find a way to mess up situations? I'm pretty sure that DeAndre Ayton is the first overall pick in NBA history that hasn't signed an extension with the team that he was drafted by.
I think you're right.
I mean, how
what a stat.
does that happen? It's crazy. And you could have worse things. Say you don't get KD, but you get DeAndre Ayton back. You're running it back with primarily the same roster that you had last year that set a franchise record. So you're still going to be good, but is it good enough to get you over that hump? I mean, you hope that more time and more continuity with the same unit will create a better team, which normally does. But I think that the Suns still have a lot of, pieces that they need to look at and adjust to get over that hump that we always talk about, to the promised land. But if we were not to get KD and Ayton were to walk and the Suns didn't match him, which there'd be no way in hell. I mean, I trust James Jones more than that. But there'd be no way in hell they would just let him walk and you don't get assets back.
Yeah.
I mean,
that would be
you'd have to
such a bad
fire
look.
James Jones immediately.
Yeah, because it's like you look at him, you go, you could have been Doncic, and then you don't get us Durant, so it's like, I know it's a bad way to put it, so it's like,
Yeah.
come on, you can't just let him walk and you go, okay, well, we could have had, one of the top 5 players in the league right now.
Mike, who's the GM of the Nets? Is it Sean Marks?
Sean Marks.
Did he play on the same team as James Jones on the Suns?
I know he played for the Suns. I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
I'm gonna look that up because I mean maybe they do have maybe they're talking behind the scenes and he has a lot of faith that they are gonna get it done. Yeah, shit. Even the picture on his wiki page is with the Suns. I wouldn't be surprised if someone updated that. 06 to 08.
And with that being said, too, maybe that's kind of some of the holdup. Maybe they're both prideful and they think one offer is pulling the wool over the other's eyes, I guess.
Yeah, just because they played together doesn't mean they were buddies.
So
not
maybe
by any means.
so maybe they're holding out and to best the other, I guess you could say.
They did play on the Suns together. That's an angle I haven't heard anyone talking about. Dun dun.
There you go.
Right, but it's also crazy why this hasn't happened. at this point. You
Right,
know?
because especially the news came out the gate hot.
There's so much heat
over
on
the
it,
4th of
yeah.
July weekend. Every day I was waking up like, when's that notification? Anytime an NBA trade alert came in, I was like, oh
freaking
shit,
out.
it's going down.
Yeah.
And then it's freaking a
The
nothing
Dbacks
burger.
lost,
It's
yeah.
it's Miles Bridges beating his girl or whatever.
Oh,
So we're not gonna get into that. We don't condone that shit. That's
what kind of notifications do you get, Chris?
You got that same one. I know you got ESPN.
Oh, I only get them
Oh,
from
we all
98.7.
We all got that. Oh, you only have 98.7?
Yeah.
Well, good for you. I don't think they sent one out. Mike, how many rings does James Jones have?
He has 4.
4?
No, he has 3. I think he got all of them with LeBron. Two with the Heat and then one with the Cavaliers.
Yep, that
Yeah.
looks right. 12, 13, and 16.
Yeah. The last thing I want to say about the Ayton part is, so say we don't get KD, but Indiana makes a trade or makes a play at Ayton, signs him to a max, but then we do a sign and trade with them and we get back Miles Turner. I would think that this team would be worse off than they were last year.
Yeah.
And that would piss all
Yeah,
the fans off.
I think I've never been a fan ever since that came out. Like Ayton for Turner is just it's swapping hands, and I honestly think Ayton's a better, higher and has higher potential than Turner does. So you might as well just stick with your original investment at that point. But what you got me thinking, Cody, when you were talking, I almost called you Curly.
Just don't call me late for dinner.
Won't do it. But no, you got me thinking. What if Ayton? Where was I going with this? I was thinking, and then I stopped thinking, and my brain fell out of my head.
Put it back, Chris.
I'm trying.
Here it is.
No, but because what were you saying earlier, Cody? You were saying about Ayton. Oh yeah, here we go. So the Suns.
I forgot too. So
No, you're good.
Glad
Like,
you.
No, thank you. No, but you kept saying run it back. Like, why don't we just run it back?
Yeah.
And Mike, maybe you can answer this, but I almost have the feeling that because we made the fucking finals 2 years ago, and then we only made it
Steamrolled.
We
in the
got
playoffs.
a second round exit this year, so that's a step back. So if 2 years of it not working, I can kind of see why maybe they see a short window here and they're not trying to squander it. They're like, Ayton's not who we need him to be right now. Maybe we think through some development he could be better, but we don't have time to develop him because we're trying to win now. So that's why you try and make a big splash like getting a KD, especially when he comes out and says he wants to be here. So I guess, Mike, what I was going to try and throw to you is, do you think it was a step back and that like kind of is why the urgency, or do you think that they're just trying to take advantage of the KD opportunity?
I mean, the way that this season ended and the second round exit with probably one of the worst Game 7 performances at home definitely can cause anybody worse start to double think and be worried about certain situations. I mean, the Suns organization even came out and had to freaking basically issue an apology to the fans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good.
We finished off a couple episodes ago with that.
You know, so yeah, obviously, but then you have some time to kind of think about where you're going and that kind of stuff, and it puts things a little bit more into perspective. But I think if anybody is like a Kevin Durant comes out and says, I want to play for you, you're going to go out and do anything you can to make it happen, because he's so far and above so many athletes in this league.
So you're going to sell
He's going to change.
everything?
You can't sell everything,
Even all
because
the first round picks?
Yeah, I'm going to sell the first round picks because
Fuck them picks.
Because it's all about win now.
Because I heard, yeah, exactly. So you win now, and then Durant's on contract, but he's going to retire. Paul's going to be gone. So then, and then we just signed Booker. So then you compare him to, I don't know, somebody like Kobe, because Kobe had Shaq, and then Shaq retired, and then Kobe kind of had some mediocre years, but then they got
Gasol.
The big guy, Gasol, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they won another one, right? So then you look at, so we sell everything, we get rid of all of our core players, Mikal, Johnson, whoever, and then we go on Durant, and then it's just going to be Booker in his last 3 years of his max deal, or two years of his max deal. And then we have no picks. All we can do, think that Booker will be able to bring another superstar in at that point.
Well, that's the other thing that you're banking on, right? I mean, it's already showing. He brought Chris Paul here because Chris wanted to come and play here.
And then now Durant wants to come
play here.
And I'm totally with you. I just wanted to flip it over. I'm not disagreeing with you. Like, I say sell everything and go 100% in on this.
Right. And you think back to those middle 2000s teams that the Suns had when we had our runs with Nash, Amari, and Sean Marion. We did the same thing that we're thinking about doing right now, where we really just shipped away our first round picks. I mean, a couple of those picks I think came out to be Luol Deng and Rajon Rondo, who were great players in this league. Like, you can't shake your hand at them. You know what I'm saying? Like, those were guys who could contribute, but they weren't guys that were going to contribute right now at that point when the Suns were consistently being one of the best teams in the NBA, making, long stretches within the playoffs. Obviously, it didn't pan out, but that's what you're thinking in this same situation. You know, we're going to have guys who can win right now, who hopefully can get you to the finals again. And if not, you have such a good core of people around you, you're going to have, higher level free agents that want to come and play here, probably more so at pay cuts as well, like what we've kind of been seeing with the Lakers the past couple of years. I mean, I know they won the bubble title, okay, give it to them, whatnot, but it seems like they consistently get kind of the bigger free agent names that are out there. They might not be the best guys, but those guys want to go play with LeBron. Those guys want to go play with AD and a good squad and learn and grow from them. And that's what we're hoping is going to happen from Booker. And we're already starting to see it. So, I mean, sell the farm of draft picks, but you can't sell the farm of your unit that you already have.
Correct.
You know, like some of the options or trade talk that I've seen have been like Jay Crowder, Dario Saric, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, and it's like, whoa, dude, that is a lot.
That's gutting the roster.
That's almost gutting your roster. And it was one of the conversations that we had the other day where it's like, okay, if you get KD, who does he have alongside with him? Because you can have a big three, but you also have to have really key guys coming off the bench and contributing, you know, at times when those guys are not on their game, or, you know, KD's shooting 5 for 21 and whatnot. Other guys need to come in and step up. Is Ish Wainwright going to be that guy this year?
Hell no.
You know, same thing that we've said. Is Cam Payne going to be that guy? Like, you
Landry
can't
Shaman?
Sell everybody, and that's probably one of the same reasons why there's been this stalemate that's happened with this trade, because I think the Suns are really trying everything in their power to keep Mikal Bridges out of it, because that's one guy that you don't
want to get rid of Bridges.
Oh my God, absolutely not.
Yeah, in a perfect world, I don't want to get rid of Bridges.
But would you though?
I would.
Yes.
I know it's Jay Crowder, whatever, but Cam Johnson, whatever. But Bridges, I hear you. But what? So you didn't like those three going away in that trade to Brooklyn?
Well, I mean, at this point, with the time frame going on, like, I hope you keep one of the twins, as they call them, right?
Yeah,
You either keep Mikal Bridges or Cam Johnson. If both of them have to go, I get it. But you also can't ship away all the rest of your wings, too. Like, you can't send Jay Crowder away. Like, you can't send... You can't send 4 or 5 guys, especially if you're also going to send 4 or 5 picks. Like,
I was going to say, send the picks,
one-sided for a guy who is an absolute all-star, top 75 player, but he's also 34 years old.
I mean, at that point, it's so close to being like, just pay Ayton, let's run it back, you know, and then. But it's so
that goes back to
though.
goes back to the whole thing that spurred this off. Is it running it back to just get into the same result, or are we running into a wall? Or do we need to make the change? Like, so it sounds like when you keep saying run it back, it sounds like you're pretty confident that we're at the door. We just got to break it down.
That's what I think so. And I think Chris Paul needs to get some more rest throughout the regular season.
I think
we don't need to have the best record in the league.
I think I'm bought into a shakeup would help. And if we can make the splash, I do kind of think.
They can keep Bridges and get Durant.
Yeah. But I think we're riding what we're just talking about here, we're riding a fine line of becoming the Lakers last year. You look at LeBron James and Anthony Davis,
Westbrook.
who, when healthy, and Westbrook, even when those three guys are perfectly healthy, and I don't know what the hell happened to Westbrook last year, or Westbrook, doesn't matter.
Yep.
I almost forgot Westbrook was even on the team, because even AD and LeBron in
Dude's getting
themselves...
paid like $40 million too, or
Yeah,
something stupid.
two years ago in the playoffs, AD and LeBron all by themselves without Westbrook were still putting up a hell of a fight. But Anthony Davis is literally Mr. Glass and will never play more than 50 games a season ever. He'll never be healthy in the playoffs. He'll just never be healthy. But I don't care because I don't like Anthony Davis, and I'm not a
Pelicans
fan.
are still getting stuff for that trade.
But my point being, to my point, to piggyback off Mike's point, if we gut the roster and KD goes down and is going to miss 30 to 40 games, who is going to supplement in that time period to get us the wins we need to even make the playoffs? And then, heaven forbid, he's not even healthy yet in the playoffs. Or by the time we do get to the playoffs, Chris Paul had to play more minutes than he was originally allotted for, and then he goes out too. It's just we're riding a fine line if we gut our roster of just being shit out of luck. And I think that's, big point. I think that's why James Jones doesn't want to do it. I think I'm ready to wrap this up. I had one question to send it off. Cody, for the record books, I'm going to ask both of you, same question. This time next month when we convene for the next episode of the Heat Check podcast, who is a Sun? Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton, both, or neither? Go.
I'll start. The only Sun will be DeAndre Ayton. Kevin Durant will stay in Brooklyn. Hot take.
All right. Not as hot as I think. Not that hot.
I mean, you also don't have a lot of options, so
Right.
it's like,
Yeah.
I think KD's going to be here and DeAndre Ayton will be gone. It's going to happen. What, as Flex would say, keep the faith.
Keep the faith.
Stay the course.
Yeah.
God, I just hope it happens, man.
Yeah. I'm going to, for wishful thinking purposes, knock on wood, in Flex we trust. Durant will be here. Ayton will be in Russia or China for all I care. Probably not Russia. I don't know if there's much basketball going on in Russia. He'll be in Turkey or something.
Send him to Toronto. It'll be close enough.
There we go. I like it. Bring back the Vancouver Grizzlies. Move the Grizzlies to Vancouver. Move them back. Anyway, let's reel it in. Let's reel it in here and switch it up a little bit and talk about your boy Kyler Murray. What the hell is going on? This Kevin Durant stuff has really gotten everyone distracted, and nobody's really talking about it. But we were like, be patient, be patient. In July is when they'll do it. That's when these things get done, is in July. Well, we're recording this right now. It's July 10th. This episode will be out in the next couple days. Unless tomorrow news breaks, which hopefully it does. But as of right now, like what is going on?
Pay the kid.
I have a bet.
Pay him.
I have a bet with Greg. He said July 14th.
Ooh.
So he's got 4 more days to
What
get
did
it
you
done.
say?
Clock's ticking.
Oh, I didn't.
No,
I was just
you didn't give a date.
I was just the one who had brought it up, and I was like, I can't believe that he's not signed yet. Like, what's going on? And then he said. All he said was July 14th. I said, okay, we're going to do a lunch bet on that.
Oddly
There
specific.
you go. Get a free lunch out of it.
So, that was what I said too. I was like, July 14th. Is there something that we don't know over here?
I don't know, man.
It's tapped in a little bit more than we are.
Yeah. It's going to happen before the end of the month. I would bet. I'd bet the house on that. Because, you're going into spring training, or, spring training. Training camp.
Close enough. Yeah, training
he's
camp.
not going into, even though we're not even close to spring. Jesus.
Well, yeah, that gets fired up in August, right? Is when they start doing
there's no way in hell
the
they go into
mandatory workouts and stuff.
Yeah, there's no way in hell they go into training camp and preseason without him.
It's unreal.
deal.
I haven't heard really a valid excuse. At this point, I don't understand. I don't feel like there's no valid excuse for why you haven't gotten this done right now for so many reasons, and we can go over them again. Whether it's the longer you wait, other quarterbacks are getting paid, having historic deals, so then
They're already too late on
you're
that.
always going to
It
have
doesn't
to be
even
making the
matter.
next historic deal. The chemistry, Kyler Murray's relationship with you souring. It seems like it's gotten better. Like, Mike, what do you think about it?
It's been good to see him coming to those voluntary workouts. I know that he did miss a couple, but a lot of veterans miss those, so don't really read into that. But, he's still showing that he wants to be part of this team, that he wants to be a leader. And the same way that I feel about KD. I think it's just a matter of time until he gets his $40 million a year and whatnot. And you got to pay the man. I mean, he's transcendent, man. He's different. So I want to see where he can take this team.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you got Larry coming out. There was a article, I think a day or two ago on 98.7 about Larry Fitzgerald saying there's no one more talented than Kyler Murray. And so he believes in him. That's, Larry Fitzgerald, you would think that the franchise would value his input after how much time he committed to them and was hardly rewarded other than a lot of money.
It's biased.
and a revolving door of quarterbacks.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
That's biased. But I mean, that's good. I mean, he's a hometown guy, so he's going to support, he's going to support the Cardinals franchise quarterback, which that's what he's going to be. He's going to get paid. And then the fact that we haven't seen another all caps letter come out from his agent, and his agent's been relatively pretty silent. I think there's stuff going on behind the scene that they're not putting out there. It's going to happen. Why it's taking this long, I'm not sure, but they should have paid him weeks ago. But,
Yeah, and we're getting close to training camp dates. It says rookies report July 21st, and then vets report.
That's exciting.
July 26th. So, I mean...
So that's like 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
That's just barely over 2 weeks away. My goodness.
So it really should be something that needs to get done beforehand, because I don't want any kind of holdout situation with him. He needs to be at training camp right away, getting rhythm with the new guys, getting some more reps with Hollywood. Yep. Zach Ertz is in the fold another year. Our new tight end, what's his name? Come on. Trey McBride.
Yep.
Yeah.
You want to get off on the right foot here. So get him that contract and get him into training camp right away. Yeah, that's the only thing I can say. I don't know if their focus has been somewhere else, like Rodney Hudson, like we'll talk about here in just a second.
Yeah,
but
yeah, I'm gonna need the inside scoop on that.
Arizona sports.
I still think that Kyler Murray has to be your number one priority here, and getting him shored up. For this franchise, so it'll get done. And hopefully it gets done shortly.
Oh, totally.
I think it definitely gets done because they just don't have any other option. And seems to be a high ceiling for Kyler Murray, despite some of the negative things that we've seen, and room to grow. So I think it has to happen. I know I don't want to sit here and beat a dead horse because we've had whole episodes and conversations about this very topic. But just to remind everyone that here in the middle of July, it still hasn't happened. And hopefully, maybe in the next couple days, like Mike was saying, probably in the next couple weeks, this gets done. But we'll probably never know why it took this long because the contract will get done and everyone will be happy and we'll all just move on. But I'd be curious to know what the grand plan was, as it were. But you guys were mentioning Rodney Hudson there. What's going on with him? He's like holding out. Does he not want to play for the Cardinals?
Well, so we don't have that definitive answer yet. So basically right now he's been absent from mandatory workouts and all the mini camps. And the only thing that's really came out was Cliff said it is an unexcused absence. Oh. So the team's like, you need to be here, but he's not showing up. They haven't come out. They did say that they're working on a couple issues that they're going to have resolved relatively soon. Blah, blah, blah. That whole media spiel. So
specific
they haven't
to Hudson or just in general.
It's to Hudson. So it's
okay.
So
they're
Kingsbury,
at odds with something.
Yeah, it's Kingsbury saying that they're dealing with something, but he said to everybody that it's unexcused, that he's not showing up. Something's wrong with his team or on his side. He's upset about something. Mike and I were talking about it a little bit before we started this. Mike was saying that, well, what if he just wants to retire? What if he's contemplating walking away from the game and he doesn't know whether he's on the edge? Does he want to show up?
Yeah.
Does he want to play another season? And then some of the other rumors I was hearing was he wasn't happy with his trade from Oakland to Arizona. He also, there were some rumors saying that he wanted to go back to Kansas City, which Kansas City was the team that drafted him in 2011. So I don't know. So he's not happy here, or he's retired, or he wants to retire. I mean, he struggled with some injuries last year. He's going to be 33 years old on Tuesday, July 12th. So it's kind of like, well, I mean, it could be a handful of things, you know.
Yeah.
So that's all the stuff that I've really seen, and that'll come out here really soon. We're going to have some news on what's going on. And I mean, if you look at some of his stats from last year, yeah, he was hurt for a couple of years, but he was one of the best centers in the entire league in the sense of blocking percentage and win and stuff like that. So it'll be terrible if he's not playing week 1 in the middle of that line. We'll be screwed.
Yeah, they're going to have to figure something out if it's not going to be him, and that puts us in a tough situation. So maybe just to touch back on what the Kyler situation, maybe they are just like, hey, we're trying to figure out some other stuff, see if we have to set some money aside for this or figure out financials for the center position.
Well, I mean, Rodney did sign a 3-year deal last year when he was traded to the Cardinals.
Oh, so he chose to re-up with the Cardinals.
Yeah, he signed a 3-year, $30 million contract. So for him to be wondering if he wants to be a part of this franchise, why did he even sign a contract last year? You know,
well, it's all speculation at this point. I'm thinking more that dude's going to be 33 years old, and you know, he dealt with a lot of stuff last year. Maybe he just wants to hang up the cleats. You know, I don't know, but it's all those rumors going around. So, but I'm with you though, and to say that you're unhappy here, you got paid, and Cardinals did surprisingly well last year. So you're on a good team. You're in a good position, and if anything, their position got even better with how bad the Seahawks are now, and how big of a question mark there is on the 49ers. So it's like our division got easier this year. So I don't know. I think he's in a good spot, and if he's unhappy being here and he wants to go play in Kansas City, I don't know. That's hard to believe, but it's all smoke screens right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the other things we were talking about too. I mean, potential retirement really could be on the table. I mean, it just seems like the past 10 to 15 years, guys are playing maybe 6 to 7 years in the league, and then they hang up the cleats because just the wear and tear that football really puts on you, it can't last. And, we can look at guys like Luke Kuechly, and there's been a bunch of other guys. I mean, Andrew Luck. I mean, a guy who doesn't even really take as much of a punishment as you would say an offensive lineman or a linebacker does.
True.
I think they said that he retired basically because of the injuries he had dealt with, right?
Who, Andrew Luck?
Andrew Luck?
Yeah,
his neck, right?
Something like that. He was just going to be coming back from an injury again, and he was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like,
so
it's that grind too,
right? So so the time frame for football players is getting shorter and shorter as time goes on, even for the more prolific stars in the league. I mean, you could probably pull up the stat on what's the average length for an NFL player, and it's probably 2 to 3 seasons, if that.
Oh, on average, yeah.
But now guys are making their own decisions to call it quits just because of the harm that's been putting on their body. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that Rodney's kind of contemplating right now, and why he hasn't been showing up. He's probably talking to his camp about it and seeing, what's the best step for him.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I don't know a whole lot about it. I didn't see Will Smith's movie Concussion, but I know that CTE has been a big thing, and it sounds like there's not a lot doctors even know about it, because you can't diagnose it until after someone dies and you cut their brain open. Yeah, exactly. And it was someone recently, was it Demaryius Thomas, who showed signs of CTE? I'm
pretty sure, yeah.
Or another player. Basically, it seems like every player now that dies, every NFL player has to accept the fact that they're going to have CTE. That could, I mean, we don't have to get into that, but I think that could, it's an ongoing thing that could, there's like two sides of it. I feel like either people think maybe football shouldn't be a sport anymore, or the other side of it is like people just have to make the choices they make and know the risks that they're getting into, and we can try and make it as safe as possible, but understand the risks. So I don't know if you want to get into that, or we can definitely just keep talking about the Cardinals. I mean, I just saw a positive note. I mean, everything coming out of training camp and the preseason workouts, you got to take with a grain of salt. Of course, they're going to try and say good things, fluff it up. But Cliff Kingsbury said that Marquise Brown is way ahead of the curve in learning the offense, which is going to be crucial. If he's expected to carry the wide receiver 1 position for the first 6 weeks, him having that offense down packed and getting the chemistry back with Kyler Murray, which I imagine will come quick, that could really be a dynamic factor in setting us up to at least a 3-3 record through the first 6.
Oh, it's going to be huge. But I just hope that he learned how to catch the football before he came to Arizona.
Did he have a lot of drops?
Dude, do you
Marquise
remember
Brown?
We were watching, it was the same game where Tucker broke the record for longest field goal.
Oh, against the Lions?
Yeah, and he hit that like 66-yarder to like win the game-winning field goal. So that same game, Marquise Brown dropped 4 passes right through his hands that could have been a touchdown. I think one was in the end zone and one he was like wide open in stride, and he had like 15 yards, no one in front of him, nothing but green. And it was like, and then if you go look on like Twitter and all these other things where I saw one, I think it was on Instagram, where it was something about him coming to Arizona, and like you just looked in the comments, like people were just trashing him, like,
Just
oh
straight up
yeah,
dogging him, yeah.
it was like he's a wide receiver but I can't catch the football. And so I think it's huge, that he gets that type of work and all that stuff with him, because I mean, unless we're running 12 personnel with all those tight ends, I don't know what they're going to do with the wide receiver position while D-Hop's out.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how they really incorporate him in the game plan. Obviously, he's a guy who can take the top off of defenses, but I could almost see him kind of getting more involved like a Deebo Samuel, not as much as running the football, but kind of setting him up in bubble screens or, triple options
Like
kind
what
of
they did with
stuff,
Moore.
and trying really to get him involved as much as possible, especially when D-Hop comes back. Your cornerback 1 is probably going to be blanketing him. Well, how does Hollywood get involved in those aspects? Is he going to be a guy who plays on the inside? Is he going to be running those kind of shallow crossers and things like that? I'm really interested to see how they incorporate both of them at the same time. But at the beginning, man, you're almost going to have to be force feeding him the ball, because James Conner is going to get those touches, but who else do you trust on the outside? I mean, is Andy Isabella ever going to be anything?
No,
is he going to be somebody that you can trust at all?
He's gone.
So,
I mean, Rondell Moore and Marquise Brown is basically telling you that Isabella's gone. Like, those are your 2 speed guys. He's expendable now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you still got AJ Green as long as he turns around. But then you spent that 2nd round pick on the best. So you draft best position available or best player available, and that's a tight end. And then you have Zach Ertz. So if they don't use that kid, I swear, I don't know. So they got playmakers. I mean, it doesn't all have to be on Brown.
Does this change your mind, Cody? According to the official stats that I can find from last year in the NFL, the official stat for passes dropped, Marquise Brown, how many do you think he had for the season?
Well, the fact that you started that,
I know. I was going to tell you, but then I wanted to ask you.
I'm guessing he's probably doesn't have nearly.
It's 9.
9. Okay.
9,
well,
9
who's the most?
I think I saw Deontay Johnson had 16.
Okay. Well, 9 is.
oh, your boy Deontay Johnson?
Yeah.
Oh, he just got traded, right?
Did he?
Didn't something happen with him? Or did he get signed, or he wanted something?
I've been so caught up in the KD saga, I honestly can't. Though that might have actually been 2020 stats, but from what I can find real quick here, it looks like Marquise Brown only had 9 drop passes.
And how many catches did he have last year? Do you know? Was it over? Did he have over 100? He had over 1,000 receiving yards at least.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I think definitely.
So in the grand scheme of things, 9 isn't too bad, but we're also spoiled for like the amount of like actual catchable targets that Larry Fitzgerald had, and he would just absolutely never drop the ball. So
yeah,
you have to temper expectations. But yeah, I mean, I did see one of those videos, Cody, that you were talking about on Twitter, where it was a couple of different plays throughout the seasons that he's had with Lamar, where it's deep balls going straight through his hands. But I mean, I'll take the option to have that kind of a deep threat and a couple of drops. And,
totally.
And I think he'll lock it in.
But part of it probably going through his hands was he was probably shocked. He's like, no way, the running back threw the ball? He's probably surprised to see the... I'm just kidding. No, I think it's a great fit, regardless of if he has issues with drops or not. But yeah, 9's not bad. And for me to, if what I said was accurate, for him to have 3 in one game, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. I would think that with this day and age with stats, that's something that would
break it down, right?
Pretty conveniently defined. But
yeah. Oh, and Johnson wants to get paid. And there's all these rumors that he's going to get traded.
So Marquise Brown had 91 receptions last year, which was 14th among receivers and tight ends. It doesn't. I guess catch percent is catch percentage targets over receptions.
Is it just?
I mean, either way, like Mike was saying, it's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah,
I want to see what he can do now.
Well, here's the head of this article.
Oh, yeah,
Marquise Brown isn't running scared after his Detroit drops. Marquise Brown doesn't have a hands problem. After 3 potential touchdown passes bounced off his hands in Detroit, the question was about where his head's at. So he probably just had a bad day.
So you saw him on his worst day, and he got 3 of his 9 drops for the whole season in one game.
Yeah, and then to not even just that, but like 3 drops that could have been touchdowns.
Yeah.
But, I mean, hey, they won the game with the 6... We saw NFL history with that 66-yard field goal, so we'll take it.
Yeah, but I'm sure his fantasy owners were pissed as all hell.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So, Mike, I want to ask you this. It says he's picking up the offense fast. I'm not surprised with his chemistry with Kyler and Cliff kind of trying to do this around these guys. But do you think that's a good offense for him to be picking up, or do you want to see something different this year from what Cliff was calling last year?
I mean, the beginning of the season was what we all thought was going to happen when Cliff Kingsbury came in, and his high-profile offense that he was bringing over from Texas Tech, and it was starting to really kind of show almost signs of greatness, especially with how they started.
The air raid.
Yeah, I mean, so if you can add in better athletes into that system, like, I'm okay. You got to see what you can get out of it, and especially if you start bringing, getting other guys involved like Trey McBride and really spreading the field a little bit more. I'm okay with them almost running it back, I guess, as you say.
Yeah.
But
reload and run back.
It's the same thing. I mean, how many times have we heard of first round quarterbacks not really making it within the NFL because every year or every other year there's a coaching carousel, guys are getting switched out, offenses are getting changed, offensive coordinators are changing, and they have to continue to learn a new scheme and whatnot, and it just never pans out. I mean, dude, continuity is key in any facet of life, basically, right? The more that you work on something, the better that you're going to be at it. Mm-hmm. So another year under this system, throwing new wrinkles into it, we saw success last year. Now it's all about just finishing the fucking season and finishing off strong and not wilting away, especially this past year, going into the playoffs. Yeah. That's the difference that you have to make. But I can see where you're saying too is that because defenses were catching on to the system? Mm-hmm. I don't know if I would say that as much. I would just think that the pieces around Kyler last year weren't enough. And
sure. Yeah.
D-Hop being hurt at the end of the season, coming back, not being himself, you basically cancel him out.
It changes how the defense even plans against the Cardinals.
Exactly.
Knowing that that weapon of D-Hop, you really alleviates all of that. No, absolutely.
Yeah, he was a decoy at the end. D-Hop was.
I mean, AJ Green's not the same player that he was. Rondale Moore was a rookie, and then we had Wesley as our third wide receiver at some points.
He showed up.
He did, but I mean,
he had that one game. He had 2 touchdowns. I think.
I don't. He's a bigger body wide receiver, but I mean, he's not a Marquise Brown who's a crazy athlete. No. So yeah, we'll see, and we'll see. We're gonna have to see quick. Really quick, because our schedule is so tough to begin the year.
Oh, it's very hard.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. It sucks you can't pick which games of the season you are suspended for. Just like any 6 games this season, you pick them, and then we'll sit you out. Obviously, that would be biased, but
Right. I know we've had conversations too about. I don't understand how they figure out when a suspension is going to come down, because didn't D-Hop already know that he had tested positive for like a banned substance like at the end of last year?
It was like in November or something like that, and they still played. Or well, he wasn't playing.
Maybe they have to investigate it and.
He didn't even appeal it though. Like I guess investigate it.
But if it comes out in November, the season's still going on. Put the suspension on right away.
Yeah.
Why are we waiting until
Maybe
the next year?
He was hurt and I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just odd to me. It doesn't make sense.
Could be something.
Why did it take
in
him
the
so
CBA.
long to do that? Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? It's really weird. And like, well, along those same lines, not to get into it, but it doesn't make sense. The NFL is so inconsistent with not only their punishments for various things, but like there's certain situations where the timing of the delivery doesn't make sense. Like in D-Hop's case, and also like we're seeing in Deshaun Watson's case, where they keep tinkering around with what they think this is. Will it be 1 full season? Will it be 1.5 seasons? Will it be a half season? Like, are they going to have to suspend him again if more shit comes out during the suspension? Like, are they waiting to see if more shit comes out? Like, were we
going to talk about how long we think he's going to get suspended for?
Oh, I mean, I think it'll be just
Watson?
one full season.
It'll probably be
you think
season.
1 full season?
Yeah.
I bet you he gets 8 games.
Dude, the problem is
8?
Goodell
Yeah.
is like a freaking dictator, man. Like he just
he loves it.
he just does whatever the fuck he wants
doesn't have
to.
to
There's
do
like
with
no rhyme or
gambling.
reason.
Yeah, it doesn't have to do with gambling. He's technically not a criminal. He never did anything wrong. It's all just allegations against him. So, I don't know. I don't think he gets a whole season. And especially because the Browns just paid him all that money. I don't know.
Well, and especially now that Baker's been shipped out.
Yeah, for like a 6th round pick. I
Baker
was
to Carolina?
shocked. Yeah.
That's
And I
crazy.
can't believe he didn't go to Seattle. Unbelievable.
There still could be a chance. I mean, because Sam Darnold, are they saying he's going to be the starter? Or
They're going to
is it-
compete.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Good luck, man. Good luck.
Honestly. And see, that's the situation you don't want to see the Cardinals in, having to have quarterbacks competing for the starting position again when you have Kyler Murray. So just give him the damn contract.
Get it done, man.
Get it done.
Just get it done.
Do it now.
Anything else on the Cardinals, guys? Or
To
we're
the
just
chopper.
standing by until this contract drops.
Yep, we'll play the waiting game like everybody else. But then hopefully we'll get out to training camp this year. Maybe do some special content or something like that out there. That would be cool.
Great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be
a lot of
dope.
fun.
Yeah, we're trying to do more content, trying to bring it to you. You know what? I know Cody hates this part of the podcast, but I'm going to do a little plugging because this is the Valley Sports plug.
Why
so
you
we got to
blaming
be
it
about
on
the
me?
plugs because you bitched hard about it the last time.
I
was
never did.
Shilling for our podcast.
No, go. All right, they go. Come on.
Roll the tape. Roll the tape. Anyway, guys, I know you found us somewhere and you're here listening to this, but go to all the other platforms where you didn't find us and follow us. Subscribe on YouTube, especially on YouTube, because that's where you're going to see most of the content. We're going to put this podcast up there. We're going to put our live podcasts up there. We're going to have another podcast going up there. Mike talking about this live content. I don't know if we'll use the Twitch channel, but we got the Twitch channel, or I got the Twitch channel. Just go follow us, guys. Go follow us and keep it up. Leave some comments below. Give us some ideas and inspiration. We might talk about your topic on the next Heat Check podcast. You never know.
Yep.
What you got, Mike?
YouTube Valley Sports Plug, and then also on Twitter at Arizona VSP. Interact with us. We'll have a good time.
That's right. So to finish off this episode of the Heat Check podcast, wanted to talk on another incompetent Valley sports franchise making questionable decisions. The one and only Arizona Diamondbacks.
At least they're not as tragic as they've been in the past couple of seasons.
I guess. And I know it's hard because you got to temper expectations knowing we're not a big market team with a big budget. So you got to moneyball it a little bit. And they keep saying, oh, the Cardinals have the best farm. But then you look at a guy that was in our farm system like Jazz Chisholm, and he was a top prospect, and we traded him for Zach Gallen. And now what's he doing now?
He's an all-star.
Hey, now he's an all-star?
Hey, now.
Not just an all-star,
You're an
though.
all-star.
Right, Mike?
But you're not
He's a
on the
damn
right
all-star
team.
starter. freaking second baseman, right?
Yeah.
Starting second base.
Second baseman for the Miami Marlins. And then, guess what? There's another National League. See, that's the other thing. It's not even just baseball. It's a National League. He's a starter for the National League. Another guy who was a
even better.
hometown favorite for sure. Goldie.
Yeah, one Paul Goldschmidt.
America's first baseman.
And
There's nothing wrong.
Me and Cody talked about this when we kind of did a deep dive on the Cardinals, or I talked
Diamondbacks.
and Cody listened.
Diamondbacks.
Oh, Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm still on the
Yeah.
Cardinals. Yeah, no, when we talked about the Diamondbacks, that it's just, why would you trade Goldie and give up all of these pieces if you're not going to fully do a full rebuild, and then sign Madison Bumgarner when you just got rid of Greinke? It's just, the moves aren't making sense. The pieces don't seem to be falling, because they made the thing where every team gets an MLB All-Star on the roster. So who's the Diamondbacks All-Star?
Joe Mantiply.
Joe Mantiply.
He's a relief pitcher. The setup guy.
So
He's not even a closer.
none
He's
of our
he's
fielders
7,
or
8
batters
guy.
could get
No.
an All-Star nod.
I was going to say, that's when you know
Well-
that you're like a bottom feeder team in the league when...
You get that participation
yeah,
trophy.
that's pretty much...
Literally,
We'll,
no, that's
we'll
exactly
take,
what that
we'll take
is.
one of your setup pitchers.
Yeah, we didn't have enough pitchers that were All-Stars.
The
so
other
give us
one they're
of those.
saying was going to be Dalton Varsho.
Does the team pick it?
Shit.
I don't think so.
I-
I thought it was major leagues. Or if you're
Well-
not one of the guys who's like voted for like
There's like
infield reserves
yeah,
or
there's like
starters.
a fan vote.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because I doubt there
But
are
then-
many fans hopping in there
No,
voting
going
for
Yeah, like
Mantiply.
Mantiply is my
Mantiply.
guy.
You know, that's-
Love that guy.
And I do feel bad.
But everyone gets a representative. Though,
It sounds like we're dogging on Joe Mantiply, which we're not.
he's
No,
had,
no,
he's
I
had
don't
a
know
great
much about him.
season. No.
But-
Yeah,
the
obviously
one-
he's an All-Star for a reason.
Yeah, he had 33 strikeouts, 1 walk, and like 30
There you
innings.
go. There you go.
Like,
But no, like, what,
yeah, he's killing it. He deserves it.
I mean, the big overall thing here is seeing two previous guys of this organization who are starters in the All-Star game. And that's just
Yeah.
like a tough look.
Yeah.
yeah, but Jazz was so early on though. He was a rookie though, and they got rid of him, right? So he didn't really. He wasn't here for a while.
I don't think he ever really even touched the field
No.
in a Diamondbacks uniform.
Yeah.
If he did at all.
So then, like Goldie's another one where it's like, yeah, well, Goldie was the best player in our team for a handful of years, and he was a homegrown talent as well. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Goldie was a situation where he was going to ask for a ridiculous amount of money, and we just didn't want to fit the bill, right?
I think that's
Pretty much.
I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, he was getting older, and they didn't feel like they wanted to pay him. But then we still got David Peralta kicking around. And
Yeah, but he doesn't get paid like that though.
No, he doesn't, because he's been through arbitration and all the weird baseball. I couldn't even start to understand the way baseball contracts work.
Yeah, it's a little different. So he's on a 3-year, $22 million contract.
Peralta is.
Yeah, so he's making $7 million a year, which that's nothing.
For baseball, yeah, that's like pennies on the dollar. But
But
Chris,
we're a small market team, though, so
right, and that's exactly what goes back into
I'm
the
sure
good point that Chris was bringing up too, where it's like you almost have to moneyball it if you're a small market team, because you know, these high profile franchises that bring in billions of dollars a year can afford to pay guys like Freddie Freeman or, you know, Giancarlo Stanton just ridiculous amounts of money that these other teams like Toronto or Minnesota or, you know, teams that are basically just in the league to fill the league and have a league are never really going to be able to snuff. So that's why the Dodgers are always who they are. You know, it seems like for the past 15 years. And it's tough. You have to do your best juggling to create a roster that's going to win, but it's something we haven't seen here in Arizona for a while now.
not since 01.
Yeah, and it's just crazy. Like we're like, oh, it makes sense they got rid of Goldie because they would have to pay him, and we got to moneyball it. But they weren't in 2014. They weren't shy to give Yasmani Tomas $68.5 million over
it.
6 years.
Are they still paying that off, or are they?
No, I think they finally got
I think
done.
that last season or the year
Yeah.
before it just fell off because it was November of 2014, so it was basically going into 2015. So not that long ago. We were paying out the ass for. I know that was different managers. I think that was before the guy from Boston came over. What's his name?
JD.
Huh?
Oh, you're talking about players or
the GM guy?
Sorry. The
Cardinal or the Diamondbacks GM.
Hazen.
Mike Hazen, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think
Sorry,
he was
yeah.
part of the group of guys that built up the Boston Red Sox and brought all those guys in that won them their championship. Whenever that was, a little while back there.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Could be mixing up stories, but I think that was the case. But in any case, regardless of other management or not, if you're not going to spend that money on Goldie, what are you going to do with that money? Spend it on Madison Bumgarner. Cody, what was the Madison Bumgarner deal? Do you remember off the top of your head?
Oh, I don't. It was just stupid though.
And that was basically like it was front end of that contract was pretty team friendly, but
Yeah, it
we're
was
gonna
the
end up
first
biting
year.
it in the next
Yeah.
like 3 years.
And how are you gonna even begin to offload that contract if push comes to shove? I just don't understand because Zach Greinke did have a couple good years with Houston after he left
5
here.
years, $85 million.
5 years, 85 for Bum.
Yeah, this year
See?
he's making $23 million.
Oof.
I mean, he started yesterday and he pitched a good game. I think he pitched into the sixth, through the sixth, and we won 9-2. It was the only game we won of the 4-game series against the Rockies. So, yeah. But then I was talking smack about Dallas, Keuchel. What, that was Thursday. We ended up losing that game too. But
Yeah. Cody texted me last week or the week before. And
Yeah, it was on Thursday.
Was saying that Keuchel was like, oh, he's playing like shit. And then I wasn't by my phone and came back an hour later and got in my car. And they were like, Keuchel's having a game tonight. He's pitching into the seventh. The Dbacks are winning. I was like, oh, okay.
He did pitch into the seventh, but they lost that game by a run. But
Yeah.
I watched the first inning, and he was just like, looked like he was playing softball out there. And we were down 2-0 going to the bottom of the first. But he got bailed out by the bats, and it gave him that, what is it? I'm looking at that reassurance going into the
like
second
the
inning.
momentum and the
There you go.
confidence
Yeah,
he
that's
needed.
what,
Yeah.
So he probably sat on the bench in the bottom of the first, like, oh, fuck, I did this, but then we tied the game, bottom of the first, and then we're going into the second inning. It's tied ball game, so it's like you're starting over again. So
Yeah, like
and then
a
he pulled it
refresh.
all. Yeah, he pulled it all together too. So props to him. But I was like, look at this motherfucker.
Crazy.
Yeah, but I only watched the first inning. So
Yeah, I think I like the Keuchel move. It's low risk, high reward. It's
Exactly.
showing, since I think last time hadn't seen him play yet. Last time we talked about it, and I think he's okay for what we're paying him. I'm okay with that. But where are we going? Where's this team going? It's another close to 500, below 500 team. Not going to make the playoffs. Not going to put asses in the seats. They have this decaying stadium that's one of the oldest in the league. I haven't heard any headway on renovations. They got to renovate the roster. They got to renovate the arena, the stadium, whatever you want to call it. They might have to renovate their front office too, because I don't want to blame Lovello, but I'm kind of blaming Hazen. And we can sit here and bash on the Diamondbacks all day and all night, but I don't know. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, it just seems kind of like a revolving door of mediocrity, and I don't know where you
yep.
take those next steps. I mean, the West is just always going to be tough. The NL West. I mean, the Dodgers are who they are. They can kind of bring in whoever they want, the same way that the Yankees do, the same way that the Red Sox do, because
True.
of how prolific that franchise is and the money that it makes. They're willing to spend and bring in the best players. So I feel like we're always going to be one step behind them. But then, I mean, the Padres aren't that far behind. I mean, they're only 7.5 back from the Dodgers right now, and they have guys like Manny Machado and are continuing to grow their system and get better.
Oh, Padres got stomped today, though.
I know the Giants are right around 500 right now, but they always seem to be kind of a franchise that can turn things around and be in play when it comes to playoff time.
Mm-hmm.
The tough thing is you go into the series against the Rockies in fourth, and then you lose 3 out of 4, and now you're last place in the West. So it's like,
Right.
No, they're tied for last place.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, good.
But then you're also
technically they're listed below him probably because
no, they
Colorado
are
has
because
the
of
tiebreaker.
Yeah, because of matchup. Yeah.
Wow.
But you're also in one of the toughest divisions in baseball too.
Right. And this year was definitely a good step towards a brighter future, it seemed like, the way that they started. And everybody was kind of like, oh, my God, this team's 500. Like,
Right.
we're 30
like,
games in and we're not
cautiously optimistic.
we're not
They're putting it together for
6 and 24 already, so we're making those next steps.
Yeah.
But this was a series that you needed to continue to kind of grow your team and give them a little bit of momentum going into the All-Star break, and unfortunately it didn't break that way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just hope guys like Ketel Marte can, have a little bit more of a higher impact, and I'm not too sure where to go. I'm not the baseball aficionado like I am for basketball, but it's not easy. It's not that hard to see. This franchise has been in a rough spot for seems like a decade now. So
for a long time, they're kind of taking the Suns' momentum on that front, because we dealt with that with the Suns for a long time. But this feels different, because from my perspective, and I'm with you, Mike. Like, I'm not a big baseball guy. Like, I grew up watching the Diamondbacks, always rooted for the Diamondbacks. I do like watching the sport, but I never played it. I'm not like a student of the game. But from my perspective, it just seems like they can't decide if they're going to be all in or not. They're always dipping their toes in and kind of being like, oh, we're rebuilding. But then they come out, like you say, they come out a little hot, show some promise. They're like, oh, then we're going to go in a little more. And then the next month hits and they're sliding and they're like, okay, actually, we're going to tear it down and rebuild. But then, so it's like, what I'm like, the things where it's like, where you can see that it's like that is you're starting to see the young guys play. Like Varsho, he's one of the young guys, right?
No, he's not.
Oh, he's not?
No.
Who's the
Perdomo, Josh Rojas,
Alec Thomas?
Thomas. Hold on, I just had to pull up.
I'd even say Zach Gallen's a younger guy. Like, he was a rookie that we got, so I would count him in there. But then, so there's guys like that where I'm like, yes, get those rookies, get them playing, get them used to playing in the majors, see if they're cut out for it, or if they need some more time in the minors. I don't know.
Well, okay, Varsho is 27, so
he's by baseball terms,
he's still kind of
young.
young. Okay, so I'm sorry. No, you're right.
No, but either way, but so that's like good thing. That's where I'm saying like that's rebuilding. That's
but Thomas is 22.
Mm-hmm.
Rojas is 28.
So, right. So another move they could have made to show that they were all in rebuilding, if they were going to fully lean in one direction. We mentioned a guy, Jazz Chisholm, whatever you pronounce it. He's doing good. He was one of our top prospects. We traded him. I know we had Nick Ahmed, and they played like the same position, but Nick Ahmed's getting older, and now he's out for the season, possibly his career. We should have traded him when we still had value and gone all in with Jazz. Invest in the young guys, and then we get Madison Bumgarner when we just had Greinke. We keep getting old pitchers. I know there's veteran leadership, this and that, blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, a pitcher's up there by himself. Like, he doesn't have a vet in his ear while he's out there throwing on the mound. I don't know. I don't want to minimize veteran leadership, but I don't know. Sorry, end of rant. But basically, I wanted to make a decision. Are they rebuilding? Are they all in? Are we trying to win now for a couple years? Or are we just going to play this in and out, hovering around or below 500, scraping the bottom of the division, not ever making the playoffs? Is that what kind of direction is that for a franchise?
It's a bad direction.
Yeah, that's all I got. You guys got anything else on the Diamondbacks?
No, it's upsetting.
I feel like Zach Gallen has had a better year, so there's promise with that. Man, the promise of when Madison Bumgarner was signed here was, okay, maybe you can get some of those glory days back. I mean, he's only 32 years old. Mm-hmm. So he's really not that old, but maybe he did use it all up in those Giants glory days where they won 3 and 5 or whatnot. But
yeah,
just continued competitiveness, putting yourself in an opportunity to possibly make the playoffs is all that you want. I'd say from a major league franchise.
You want to see them try to win, be competitive, yeah.
And it looked like we were heading that way this year, but then we, stumbled, and now we're where we are now, in last place in the division. But The crazy thing about baseball is there's still so many freaking games left. There's at least, 80 something.
That's
probably.
crazy.
Oh, easily.
Well, we'll just take this time. Hopefully the team refreshes during the All-Star break and comes back with some fire and can maybe finish top 3 in the West or in the NL West this year. And I'd say that's a step in the right direction at least.
Yeah, I agree. At least at bare minimum, don't be the worst team in the division.
Yeah, you can't have it anymore, man.
Don't let the Rockies beat you.
I get you might not make the playoff or the wild card, but yeah.
They're not going to.
And yeah, they might not. But yeah, finish
They're
third.
18 and a half back right now.
Yeah, I was pleasantly, or I keep saying pleasantly. I think thinking pleasantly. Cautiously optimistic. I was like, if they keep playing this good, they might be able to play the wild card. And I said that to Cody a couple months ago, and he shut it down then.
There's no way.
No.
Well,
and I was
so
like, well,
they're 8 games back of the wild card right now.
Before I think they were only like 2.
Cardinals are 1 game out of the wild card. The Giants are 2 games out of the wild card. The Marlins are 4 games out. So it's like those 3 teams right there are better ball clubs than the Dbacks, hands down. So it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. Unless they go on a tear and they win 15 games in a row, and then that's a whole different story.
Well, like Mike said, like they could come out of the All-Star break, have a different, strategy, mindset, whatever you will, going forward. It's not uncommon from what I've seen and understood in baseball where guys will have ups. Not only players will have ups and downs, but teams will have ups and downs. Like we've even seen that.
It's a really streaky sport.
Yeah, because
it's almost like a mind game, let alone just physical.
What is it? 162 games?
Yeah, and that's a lot of baseball.
A lot of baseball to play in a short amount of time.
The great thing about baseball, maybe that's why there's no fucking salary cap, but like it's one of those sports where it's really hard to buy championships, even though you can argue the Yankees did it for years. But you look when the Rays won it like a couple of years ago, they had one of the lowest payrolls in all of baseball, and they won.
It's possible, yeah.
So
people can do it
because it's such a team sport, and it's so people can be so streaky, and it's so it's not necessarily who's the most physical or physically gifted person out there. Like it's all hand-eye coordination, this and that. I mean, look at Jose Altuve. He's like 5'5", and the dude can hit it out of the park. So it's like, I don't know. That's what's great about the game of baseball, and it's unfortunately we haven't had that luck here in the desert. But thankfully they won and no one, or we would just have nothing to be proud of from them.
Hey, don't you discredit those Mercury titles, okay?
Okay.
Free
sorry,
BG.
sorry.
Free BG.
And should I mention the Rattlers and all of their championships? Thank you very much.
Their championships where the league is like 6 teams.
Oh, they
switched
leagues 5-6 years ago. I think that's about all we're talking about for the Rattlers. So moving on, let's talk about the Arizona Hotshots. Goodness.
Oh, God.
I do wish I would have got like a T-shirt or like some kind of like jersey or some momentum from that team.
I was close to buying a shirt from Dick's, but they wanted too much money. I felt they wanted too much money for it.
The logo wasn't even that cool either.
No, I mean,
2 axes and.
I thought it was cool. I got it, but no, I get you. It wasn't the most compelling logo. Yeah. But the color scheme, I kind of like the color scheme.
Was it green and orange?
It was green, orange, and yellow. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah.
So it looked like the Corona del Sol Aztecs with green splashed on them.
Some green on it.
A hint of green.
A hint of green.
Nice.
But yeah, man, we're not going to talk about the Hotshots or the Rattlers. We got a lot that we're just kind of on. We're just on standby right now. It's that time of year. Baseball All-Star game. I think it's the day after or somewhere around that, where after the All-Star game, where there's no professional sports happening anywhere. The Stanley Cup's over, the NBA season's over, the NFL season hasn't started, and the MLB's on break for that little couple days from the All-Star game to the beginning. So
it's next week, right?
Yeah, next week.
Not this upcoming week, but
Cody, just last thing before we go here, what are you gonna bet on that day?
Dude, yeah, you're SOL, dude.
I'm gonna bet.
You're gonna have to look at like European, like soccer and ping pong,
football. Whatever. I beat you in fantasy baseball this week.
Yeah, you did. You did. I'll take that L. But yeah, tell Cody in the comments. Tell Cody what he should bet on when there's no American professional sports. I don't know what the date is, but it's gonna happen pretty soon here. Mike, any last words?
No, man. Hey, always excited to be here with you guys, chopping it up, talking about the teams that we love, and maybe the teams that we love to hate. But
Yes, sir.
we also appreciate everybody who tunes in. Give us some feedback. What do you want to hear us talk about? What are some of your thoughts? We're always looking to kind of expand our content and see, what you guys want. And we want to make this a Valley show to bring to the people who love Arizona as much as we do. So that's all I got.
Hell yeah. I like it. Couldn't have said it better myself. Cody, what you got?
How do I top what he just said?
You can do it.
No, I can't. I'm not even gonna try. I'm gonna be betting on tennis. I'm gonna be betting on NASCAR. And then maybe some golf. We'll see what happens with the golf. But yeah, that answers your question. But no, it was fun today. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. Always a pleasure and a privilege. I love having you guys out here in the Valley Sports Plug Studios, Studio B. But I think Studio B might become the permanent studio, excuse me. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out today. Thank you everyone who's listened and made it this far. If you're hearing my voice right now, it means you just listened to three guys talk for an hour and 24 minutes, and that's freaking awesome. Thank you so much for the support. We'll catch you on the next live stream, Valley Sports Plug Live, or whatever we got brewing up. We'll let you know out on those social medias. And yeah, thank you again. Drop that music.